Can you share your thoughts on what are the most vulnerable critical infrastructures and why you feel that that's the case?
Sure.
Yeah. I would start with healthcare. With healthcare, you are seeing a variety of commercial off-the-shelf hardware and software packages running very, very sensitive instruments that have to be networked in order to allow data to leave them and visit physicians or caregivers. A lot of this stuff, it can't be patched, it can't be changed, it may not even be able to run antivirus or an endpoint program, simply because doing so would require recertification under the FDA or other legal statutes. And this stuff is exposed, and although we do our best to try to prevent HIPAA networks from actually having egress or ingress from the larger internet, they almost always do for very legitimate reasons of care. So the risk here is that you've got stuff that's critical for treatment delivery that is essentially, can be a Windows XP SP1 box that can't run AV. We started to see how bad this was with the recent WannaCry attacks, and let's just talk a little about the statistics that are available from the United Kingdom that came out last week. According to the UK's National Audit Office, 34% of the trusts or healthcare providers in the UK were disrupted by this, and this means the cancellation of almost 20,000 medical appointments, the cancellation of 600 surgeries, and the diversion of ambulances from 5 hospitals to other locations simply because treatment wasn't available. So I don't know if you'd...
So I agree. So he covered a lot there. So I'll take a different approach with it. I think the health sector in particular, and I think it's because of the Frankenstein IoT microcosms that they have in that space. So you have your legacy systems, newer technology. Technology continues to hyper-evolve. And you look at the valuable treasure troves of data, like electronic health records and other PII. Now with the cyborgification, with embedded chips and insulin pumps and things like that, what we're seeing is the health sector is ready to take that quantum leap forward again without having their cybersecurity intact. So you're having, they want to start putting the electronic health records on patients with a microchip, which can work and it makes sense, but security by design has to be something that they take into consideration. We have, on the dark web, we have seen the value of electronic health records that have been exfiltrated go down because it's so readily available. We saw the same thing for those of you in the financial sector. We saw the same thing with credit card numbers, legitimate credit card number theft and things like that. There was such volume on the dark web that they eventually lost a lot of their value. So electronic health records were experiencing the same things. But the criminal element on the dark web will continue to hyper-evolve. And so they'll find new uses for the electronic health record data. So it's not necessarily health sector theft or ID theft. They're coming up with, tax, with minors and children, they're coming up with ways to apply them to fraudulent tax returns. And so it's a whole new level of fraud. So they'll still have value, but the health sector definitely is one of the most vulnerable.